Welcome back, my friends, to TFT Hyperroll with Artark, and this is another build that I would like to bring to your attention. This is part 1 of 2. Part 2 will be tomorrow with a slightly different twist on it. And I found this build to be fairly reliable, but if you are watching this video prior to December 5th, please go check out my other video called Use This Build, because that one is going to be nerfed with the next patch on December 5th. But for now, it is the most consistent climbing build I have found, and yeah, I'll have more about that in a video before they finally nerf it. But I have found the build I'm about to show you to be a pretty good fallback or first option if it hands it to you right from the beginning, and you're going to see it right now. We're going country. Now, it is not just country, it will ultimately be country Moshers, but let's look at our first set of augments. Nothing here really exciting. I'm not a fan of the Ascension for this because it's not necessarily a build that lasts a long time. But Moshers get Omnivamp. Adding more Omnivamp on top of it is often a good idea, so Harm Assist is not a bad get for this. When you start, unless you get an early Tahm Kench, you might have a little bit of trouble forming country. You shouldn't when you start off with URGOT and Samira, but sometimes the game just doesn't cooperate. Roll with it and see where you go. If you do manage to pick up country in that opening round, this first few fights will be easy with the additional Hecarim. If you do not, it can be a little bit of a struggle depending on what champions you end up getting. There are going to be some very specific items for specific champions, and we will take you through them. Now, the other thing is, as far as headliners go, yeah, you're hoping to get that Tahm Kench with country to start. In this one, we have multi-talent, so we're also going to tick Bruiser. But you do not want to keep Tahm Kench until the end. You're going to want to find more that you can put on the bench so you can dump him when you have a good shot at 3 cost headliners, because that's when you're either going to be able to get Samira or URGOT as your next headliner. Now, do you have to go country as your headliner trait? Not really, but I like to do it on the off chance that I'm going to see a country emblem at some point. It's extremely rare, but I like to have that option, because if you get it, you get the ultimate Hecarim. Let's talk URGOT items, because he's going to serve 2 functions. Titan's Resolve, Bloodthirster are your 2 key items, so we're going to grab the Negatron Cloak here. URGOT is both damage and tank in many ways. With Mosher ticked, URGOT will be able to heal back a lot because he is a country Mosher, so he'll be able to heal back a lot and stay in with his shield, and especially if he's getting the Bloodthirster shield as well, he can stay alive a long time. Early game, that Hecarim is going to wreak havoc. Once it gets triggered, it's going to dive in the opposing team, which will give everyone the time they need to do the damage they need to clean up. Notice how well URGOT is doing even without any items at this point. Let's look at the second set of augments, and then we'll go through what Moshers I like to bring into this build. Silver Ticket, meh. Sticks and Stones, meh. Team Building, not bad, because this will help get us to the next level with some of these champions that we're going to need. Set is kind of key for me in this build because he will take Bruiser along with Tahm Kench and Mosher along with URGOT. He's also going to be my main tank because remember, I'm switching out Tahm Kench. Once I have the ability to go to the 2-star URGOT, get the Bloodthirster on him, that's what I'm going to do. I also bring in Cat over Gnar so that I can tick to the 5 country, because that's going to take the Hecarim up to the next level. And like the previous build I showed you, this is a pretty steady building process from the beginning. You're going to just keep adding on to what you're doing as your team forms around you. Now, this is also one of those builds where I don't stop trying to build any champion that's country, and that's because the Hecarim, their strength is based on the star level of your champion. So if I see any additional country champions, I'm going to pick them up in the hopes that I can get to 3 stars, and that's all of them. We're on to an item choice here, and I would normally be picking up the chain vest as part of the Titan's Resolve, but we already have one. However, we have the ability to make the Sunfire Cape, so we're going to go ahead and do that on Set. Like I said, Set is my main tank here, because Tahm Kench is coming out once our headliners shift over to that better percentage chance of getting 3s. Now, one of the things I like about this over the Jazz Hands build is you're going to have 2 different champs you can choose from, where in the Jazz build, you really need to make Misfortune your headliner. Here, it can be either URGOT or Samira, and you're just hoping to get the country augment. It's not necessary. It's time to choose our final augment, and it is Prismatic. Nothing super exciting here, but Binary Airdrop could work because we don't have any champions with 3 on them. Pandora's items, tempting, but not perfect because we have most of what we need. So I decide to go with the Binary Airdrop, and that way I can only put 2 items onto URGOT and then allow Chance to take over. I like Last Whisperer on Samira because when she focuses down a target, that will work really well, and we can just put a second item onto Set, and now he will also get a bonus 3rd item as part of the additional augment. I've now also made the 4 Moshers by bringing in Gnar and Poppy along with Set and URGOT. That will change as we go because once we have the ability to get Yorick in, that will be one of the Moshers that comes in. Set is pretty set. URGOT is pretty set. Then everything else shifts around that. Now, if given a lucky draw like a Kiana at this point, I will definitely take it because that will just add a little bit of Crowd Diver into the build, which is going to help stun backlines while you're dealing with them. It's time for our final individual component item choice, and we're going to go ahead and grab the sword so we can make a Giant Slayer on Samira, who is now up to 2 stars. This is going to give her a 3rd item. Then, since Kiana has a low mana threshold, I'm going to go ahead and just put the blue buff on her and then the Giant's Belt so we can trigger an automatic 3rd item. Then, roll once. I was getting set to get rid of that Tahm Kench, but Fate stepped in and said, here's a country Thresh. So that will give me my 2 country. Normally, like I said, I like to go with URGOT or Samira, but Thresh as the headliner will be even better. I also normally would have done my search much earlier at the start of 8, but because I was still winning, I held on, and kind of glad I did, although it does cost me this round for sure. Now I have to pick up a Thresh item before it lets me buy him, so I'm going to go ahead and grab the Redemption so I have a little additional healing up front. Dump the Tahm Kench, we can pick up the Thresh, and we are good to go into the next round. Notice I've been picking up additional URGOTs as I go, anything to get up to 3 stars so I can increase the power of the Hecarim. One nice little bonus with Kiana on your team is she's going to be grabbing items for your other champions as you go along. So you're going to get additional items on champions that she's stealing from the other team. The only downside is you might end up with a Katarina with items that don't make sense like Warmog and Bloodthirster. Another big caution in this build, if you find yourself contested, and I rarely do, but if you find yourself contested, abandon ship because you're going to need to 3-star some of these champs to get a big enough Hecarim to make the difference. Now remember how I said that URGOT is 1 part tank, 1 part damage. You can see that in these 2 matches side to side. He is able to get in there and just not take much damage and heal right back up as he goes. In this one, Luxold, he's back to full. Then again, Luxold, little bit off, back to full. Over and over again until he is allowed to push in and just finish off the team, leading the damage charts and bringing us into the top 4. Now, I've held on to Tahm Kench this whole time because I'm the eternal optimist in the hope that I'm going to get a country emblem and then bring him in and go to 7 country. Doesn't look like it's going to happen. The other part of this build that you kind of need to keep in mind is how you want to finish it off. You can go easily to the 6 Moshers. There's plenty of Moshers. Bai and Jax are both Moshers. However, I often like to bring in a Lowy at the end because that will pick Bruiser along with Set if you've taken Tahm Kench out, as we did. And Tahm Kench is not getting back into this game since we're not getting a country emblem. I should have been a little quicker on the draw here to get that Lowy into the fight, but I missed. Doesn't much matter because just keep your eye on URGOT. He does not care. He is just going to keep pushing in and doing damage. Not much is going to damage him, and even if it does, he's going to heal back so quickly due to Mosher and the additional healing we're getting from Hermesist that, yeah. And Akali's not going to do much to him. It never even really takes off his shield. I have found with this build that the teams you normally have to fear with the rapid fire Guardian build, which are Lux teams and Akali teams and teams that are going to reach into your backline, do not become nearly as much of a factor because it's your midline, URGOT, that is doing most of the damage, and he's not going to take it that much, so he will hold on and win a lot of your fights. And it's soon going to be GG for everyone because we're headed into the sudden death round, and I love this person's name, Rats Plague Hearts, because I love rats. Sorry, just the way it is. They have a fantastic Jazz build here with a 3-star Bard, 3-star Misfortune, 2-star Lucian, so they're incredibly strong. But again, while this build would often take out the rapid fire build, URGOT just doesn't care. Hecarim also provides enough distraction that it allows your team to get through and win. Country Mosher should become a pretty dominant build, but if it's contested, you may have a problem. Hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, have an absolutely awesome day.